So if you have a question, please do raise your hand, and we have mics roving around. Now, we started really, really well, I thought, and I don't think this was designed necessarily, but maybe, Karina, you, actually, no, I think you probably did design it this way. So Rachel set us up with a challenge to make New Zealand the model sustainable nation for the world. Rebecca built on that, talking about, focusing on purpose over performance and putting people first. Mitchell talked about the importance of collaborating to compete and making the most of connectivity that technology enables. And all of that rounded off nicely with a 40-year business. That's not sustainable, I'm not sure what is. Around look after the patient, and the business will look after itself. Or in other words, look after your customer or your stakeholders, and everything else will take care of itself. And if not, then sleep with a mosquito. So you here are among, the new generation of business leaders who have embraced profit with purpose, or social good as the new way to do business. But there are many businesses still out there who haven't quite found the light, as you have done, and continue to see this as, fluffy stuff. So you do this when you've made the money and you sort of, do a few good things, or you do it when times are bad, to try and rebuild your reputation. So my question then to each of you, and Ranjana, maybe I start with you, is, why aren't more businesses doing this? Why would you say, in the medical profession, you've already proven you've got a very, very sustainable model, a profitable model, and your patients are happy. So why aren't more people doing this?
I think the main reason is that the professionals, it's me and mine, doctors still feel that I own this patient, but in reality, no one owns a patient. The patient should have their own notes. So when everyone sees our model, they buy into it, but when they have to share, I think that's where the issue comes in. And so it looks easy. We've had probably 4 or 5 acquisitions where doctors have been in practice for 40 years and say, oh, we like what you're doing. But when they have to adapt and share, I think professionals as a rule don't see, like that first photo I put up, we introduced shareholding back in 2002, and we offered it to 20 doctors, and only 5 took it up because they could not see how a person doesn't mind seeing any doctor when they need it, and for their personal things they will make an appointment and it can be 2-3 days down the track. But when I need service, I need it now. And you've got to be able to move with the times, that it's not now. When I was growing up, Saturday morning, no shops were open. Saturday and Sunday, everything was shut. It's not what it is. It's every 24-hour business everywhere now. And so if you don't move with the times, the corner GP practices are going to be, sort of very obsolete very quickly.
Thank you. Mitchell, do you want to add to that from a tech perspective?
I think what I would add to that too is because I have also been very involved in the health sector. About 15 years ago, we co-founded the New Zealand Health IT cluster in order to kind of better serve, better engage, but also better influence the understanding across the sector of how technology is actually going to change and help health providers serve their patients. So the key point I'm trying to make here too is that really, in addition to looking after your patients in this particular sector, it's really also about empowering the patients and involving them and giving them the power of choice and of self-determination, because they can more than look after themselves in many cases, in consultation or with support from the medical profession, as opposed to having things done to them or done for them. So that's, I think, empowering your customer and actually doing business together with your customer as opposed to doing it to them is very, very fundamental, especially in healthcare today.
Sorry, I've got a slightly claggy throat now, but I think this is a really important one in terms of the broader sustainability stuff, the way that I see this through my lens, is that if you're thinking about the cost of business, the cost of healthcare is really, really expensive. Healthcare is tied in with very high cost of medical, high cost of building. For us, there's a high cost of getting into a service. And if you're looking forward and thinking about technology, imagine a time where you might be incredibly unwell, you might be elderly, you may no longer be able to drive a car, getting into traffic is difficult. And so going and seeing a health practitioner is not an easy thing to do. So imagine a time where maybe you only see a health practitioner a few times, but the rest of the time you might be on some version of Skype. So you don't actually have to leave your own lounge. The total cost to New Zealand drops. It drops in a lot of different ways. It drops for the individual, it drops for the government, it drops for the infrastructure we have to build, it reduces carbon, which reduces air quality issues. You know, there's a knock-on effect of those kind of shifts that technology brings to the sustainability area, which we're just not really doing enough of here in New Zealand. And I think focusing on the client is absolutely the way we should be designing all our systems moving forward.
Okay, so I do actually come from a family that has a healthcare background. So my parents own pharmacies in Malaysia, where I'm originally from. But I do have a slightly different take, and I think back to the individual, we all sort of function on survival mode, right? So if you kind of familiar with Maslow's theory of needs, if you're functioning on survival mode in the bottom of the pyramid, you're only thinking about you, and thinking about someone else is a luxury, right? It's a luxury to think about someone else's rights. It's a luxury to think about, oh, women should have equal pay. It is, because if I'm worried about paying my own bills, I'm worried about how am I going to pay the wages for my staff. Forget saving the trees, saving the whales. Like, I just want to make sure that my company succeeds so that I don't have to let my staff go. So it's the same thing, I guess. If we're functioning from that survival mode, we're blinded. And the other thing I think also is that we tend to think that we have to do it all at the same time. Sometimes it's a journey. We can start being sustainable one step at a time. But if you start forcing people into that idea that you're not sustainable because there's something wrong with your supply chain and logistics, there's something wrong in the wages that you're paying, all of these things are wrong, then people are going to go, you know what? Stuff it. Like, what else? Why would I if everything I do is not good enough, right? And everything I do, whatever steps I take, isn't sustainable until it's all sustainable. But we're all on a process, and I think that we do need to take a step back and actually go, okay, we can't do it all because our finances are finite, our abilities are finite, so let's just change the way we think about some of these things. And I think that it kind of starts there as well.
Thank you. At this stage, I might open the floor to our audience here to ask any questions. I understand, Rachel.
I do have to go.
Need to leave?
Theory. Sorry.
Sure.
Yeah.
So thank you very much.
Thank you so much for having me.
I might open the floor for questions for the rest of our panelists here. Questions?
Just got a question for you, Michelle. When we compare the pace of technology advancing, in comparison to when you started your business 24 years ago, and now we are facing, we're working next 5 years, we actually have no idea, what the future kind of looks like. It's changing so fast, And do you see, and that actually has an impact on the whole sustainability for technology companies when you compare it to how when you started 24 years?
Okay, so the question is kind of impact on sustainability, and I'm taking the question from the business sustainability perspective. Yeah. So if you look at the whole technology innovation ecosystem of today, right, it is well and truly democratized completely. Right? In the old days, only the big banks or insurance companies or corporations would have the resources to innovate in IT and systems and things. But today, a two-person startup within 2 years can wipe out your business, right? I mean, it's that democratized, and it actually is a genuine opportunity for everyone. It kind of levels the playing field, and it allows the entire global population to participate in innovation, because at the end of the day, we all stand to kind of benefit from that, right? So I think this is a very, very fundamental concept that many long-standing and very large and wieldly kind of businesses haven't yet fully grasped. And that therein lies the sustainability risk. So, and I'll use fintech as an example. If I look at the banks today, they're very involved with fintech. They have fintech accelerators, they invest into opportunities, and they foster fintech. So instead of kind of hiding away and say, well, these guys are going to interrupt and disrupt our business sector, let's not have anything to do with it, they actually get actively involved. That's how they de-risk themselves. That's how they make the bank's future more sustainable, by being involved, being part of the innovation and part of the disruption, as opposed to being part of the disrupted. And when you look at other sectors, it's very, very much the same. And I think the answer really is if you want your business to sustain through technology innovation, be part of it. Take part in it. Yeah. And start making bets outside of your business. Not that you can really innovate really well, but make bets on external organizations and people who may even disrupt your business, but could create new revenue streams for you. And so yeah, let's just be part of that innovation community.
Thank you. One thing that was very clear for me in actually all three of your presentations was, and we see this with good business, was the very strong values that you personally hold dear as leaders of your businesses, and the passion you have. So you're bringing that purpose in your drive to sort of grow your organization. How would you say you've taken your values and embedded them throughout your different businesses?
I think it's very hit and miss. I still sit on every final interview. The HR department has checked qualifications, done the reference checks and everything. But what I'm looking for the person is, are you here to serve? Because if in our industry you don't put the patient's needs before your own, and you're not there to serve either the nurse or the doctor, you're not going to work. But we've grown too much now, so I can't put my hand on my heart and say everybody lives my values. It's the 80-20 rule. If I've got it right for 80% at least, I'm happy.
I would have to say I agree. I mean, I haven't even lived half as much as everybody else on this panel. But I think one thing that I've learned a lot is to allow myself to not know and to just try my best, really. And that's really all you can do in life is try your best. And that doesn't mean I always know what my values are. I think I know until they're put to the test. So I'm still actually learning what my values are, but I'm aiming for the kind of person I want to be in every situation. And if I kind of know who I want to be in every situation, I know what I'm supposed to do to be that person. So that's kind of how I do it.
Right. That's really, really great insight. The approach that I took is really, I have a business partner who owns 50% of the group of companies that we own, that we have. And our approach is not so much forcing our values upon the organization, because the organization is made up of a whole lot of people who are way more talented than we are. The reason I went into business, because I didn't think anybody would employ me. So the way we kind of do that is we actually find people who have the same value with us already, as opposed to forcing our value upon a particular organizational structure and its people. So I think over the past sort of 24 years, that strategy seems to work well, and it seems to require very little work, because the people already have the same values we do.
Any other questions?
Thank you. Just a question to the panel. Do you think the millennial has changed the business model from beyond product and brand?
Millennial here. Yes and no. I think, if anything, we are very good at repurposing. So what used to define what a product and a brand is still very much called product and a brand. It's just repurposed. And you'll see that more and more, especially if you use like social media, right? And okay, as I said, millennial, but tech hates me. I only have Facebook, so I don't have like Snapchat, and I can't deal. So, but I think if anything, millennials have actually brought forth more of that values. And I think there's a lot of like fear-mongering in the media about, oh, you know, millennials are this type of people and they're lazy and they just want so much more. But I think fundamentally we want just what everybody else wants, which is to be valued and to belong somewhere. And so we find that a lot more in how we define ourselves and our personal brand. And so you'll see more and more that talk about personal branding. You see a lot of businesses having their personal Facebook page. Why does Mark Zuckerberg bother having his own social media, even if he's not the one piloting it, but he still has someone doing that? Is because you tell the story of your brand in whether or not people relate to you as a person. And so we haven't really transcended beyond a product and a brand. All we've done is repurposed it to fit what we actually truly want as individuals. And that is why we also say, like, we're so much more pressured by social media now to live that ideal life, like we all want to be bowlers. That's because we think that if we're bowlers, we're accepted. People want to be like us, and we'll be that cool kid that, you know, we may not be cool in school, but we're cool on a social platform. So fundamentally, it still comes down to that individual need to be accepted, and that's that brand and that product that we put out there.
I'd take a different view. The millennials have actually educated everybody else. I'll give you an example. I bought my mother a computer on her 75th birthday. She'd never used a keyboard, doesn't know what a computer is. And now she's 85 and she needed to go for an operation. I took her to a specialist. She went on YouTube to see what the operation actually entailed. And when we came out of the specialist, she said, "He knows what he's doing, I'll go with him." So we are all being educated. We're changing our systems as well. You know, we've got patient portals. We're big on patients owning their notes. And so if anyone touches your file, you get a little alert to say, something's come into your file. So the millennials, what they expect from mainstream society, we are all changing to adapt. And if we don't, we will be dinosaurs.
I totally agree with both perspectives. I think the key things, when I look at millennials, the key things I see, and I really love this, is the simple fact that they challenge everything. Absolutely everything. Everything is questioned, everything is challenged. And if it is not well rooted, if it is not based on some true meaningful purpose, it will be shaken. Right? So it's just a matter of time. It doesn't matter what line of business you're in, you're going to be challenged by the millennials that you sell to, as well as by the millennials that you employ. You know, and so the rest of us who aren't within that age group, all we have to do is be able to adapt in response to the challenges, but also uptaking the great new things that kind of that sort of challenging and the innovations that ensues kind of bring forth. You know. And I'm always amazed that I go back to Ho Chi Minh City every 3 months or so, at least, because I'm required to part of the business. But I stay with my parents, who are both in their 70s now, and Mum and Dad, they both have 2 smartphones each, and one of the 2 smartphones has 2 SIMs. You know, so I'm thinking, Mum and Dad, you each use 3 SIMs. I mean, I only have 1 SIM in New Zealand and Asia, and wherever I go, I just use this 1 SIM. You know. And this is amazing. This shows to me that age really isn't a barrier. The barrier just happens to sit inside our head. Doesn't matter what age we are, right? You know. So here are some really great old people who just simply adapt very quickly to the digital environment that's there in Asia today.
I always now say I'm 21 plus GST when anyone asks me that.
Can I ask a question? No, I know the time to list it. Last question. Actually, it's very inspiring to listen to you speak. But I think, to really advise Mitchell and Regina, you took the step further and goes to the mainstream. What I really want to say is that if you look at the bigger picture of New Zealand economic development on the ecosystem, it's really now diversified thinking, diversified markets, really probably keep New Zealand economy is going. Now you have been to the mainstream, taking the different positions. I'll be very interested to hear your view about the mainstream of accepting the Asian minority or whatever the other peoples, how the mainstream view us, what are the issues or you think, the areas we can improve. Thank you.
Thank you. When I travel around and people ask me where I'm from, I often say, look, I was born in Vietnam but made in New Zealand. And it's true, I was educated here and then developed my business career and everything here. And apart from some kind of school bullying things that happened when I was very much younger, which always happens at schools all over the world, if you're a little bit different, you get bullied. But other than that, I think ever since I kind of started to kind of get into the business space and everything else, I spend much more time thinking about kind of what's going on in New Zealand, where the challenges are, and how can we kind of, address those challenges. And I kind of forget that I'm Asian. I'm here, and this is my ecosystem, and there's something wrong with it, and I want to do something about it. And then so you kind of, and that drives me to kind of take the lead in doing something, or start voicing that we should do something about it. That then attracted others of different colors to come together and do stuff, and you've seen that in a number of industry kind of groups and things that I've been involved in as well. So I don't know if there is or should be a mainstream and not mainstream. I just never really thought about it.
Because I think, if you become the chair of New Zealand Tech, has always been Pākehā. Is that? So apparently why you have been elected? Is that because based on your merit or because they also thinking about your experience with Asia? Yeah?
I think it was based on my thought leadership and leadership ability. Because I think New Zealand today is a very diverse society. So I think it was very seamless. To be honest, I haven't noticed that it existed because I'm too busy doing stuff.
Thanks very much, Mitchell. Just before we close, and that was the last question, I'm just quite conscious that in the audience today we have a number of people who work at corporates. And it used to be that, if you wanted to sort of create social impact, you work for a not-for-profit or you work for a government. But what you have demonstrated is that you can create social good no matter where you are. And so in closing, could I just ask you people to give a 20-second spiel if you can, any words of wisdom for the people in the room who might not be working for a not-for-profit or might not be working for a charity or a government, or so working in a corporate space, don't have their own business. What can they do to create social impact?
Great. Women's Day was yesterday, so I'll start first. So in my view, it doesn't matter what you're whether you're in business or not. I think everyone can do something. So it's just a matter of choose whatever is most dear to yourself, and actually throw yourself into it. Because pretty soon there'll be others around you, and then that could turn into an NGO or it could turn into a business. And in today's world, social enterprise is very much well and truly alive. So again, that could turn into a very, very profitable business, just because you decided to start something.
I think what you meant is people working in corporate, didn't you? And I think the best thing is you do your best, you will shine, and you will get recognised. I think at the end of the day, Auckland in particular, the demographics is changing, the cultural shift is very much trying to be open with everybody's thinking. So we now are, I'm third generation, but I'm always going to look like this. So I'm always going to be an Indian. But at the end of the day, I think everybody does respect our difference. We're now not being so much a threat as being different used to be a threat.
So I'm just going to make sure I understood the questions. How to be sustainable in the corporate environment?
How to create social impact while you're working in a corporate.
Okay. I'd say be strategic. So I used to work for a bank. I now work for the Ministry of Education, and I have a startup. So across every sort of industry, you have to be strategic. Understand the person that you're talking to and what motivates them, what they understand. So if someone is driven by people, someone's driven by money, someone's driven by process, it doesn't change what you're trying to achieve, but you need to speak their language.
Thank you very much. Thank you very
Can I
much.
just add one last thing? I'm sorry. I
20 seconds was up.
I missed that point about being in the corporate. We are seeing people who are trying to lead in their corporate environment, and the organization either doesn't allow, doesn't follow, doesn't accept. So what they do is they go outside, they start a startup, and then they disrupt the organization. So again, just do it.
Thank you very much. Really, really insightful address from all of you. Thanks for sharing that. Thanks for sharing your journeys and your learning. And also the challenges that you've faced, and you've shown that it is possible to make profit and have a purpose and create an impact.